Hi, this is Karen Rowland, founder of Hush Providence. Welcome to my new weekly Wellbeing podcast, Real People, Real Conversations, Real Life. We'll be talking about all things relating to the human experience. What makes up a life? What creates joy and happiness? What makes humans the same or different? How do we care for ourselves and each other? We'll even try to answer the 5 W's of well-being: who, what, when, where, and why, and how this all fits together. A little ambitious? Maybe, but join us as we connect with local topic experts, peers, mentors, and healers. Welcome to Hush Providence, a well-being podcast. I'm excited to introduce Jessica Brown to today's episode. Welcome, Jessica.
Hello.
So you are an associate professor, industrial design at Rhode Island School of Design, otherwise known as RISD. This year, you're focusing on toy design, public engagement, and social action. You serve on the board of Social Equity and Inclusion Steering Committee. You are on the search committee for the new president of RISD. Congratulations on that placement.
Thank you.
Founder, lead designer at Optimistic People Project, which we're going to talk about in a minute. You're a board member of Public Art in Providence and the founder of Lady J Productions. So on your LinkedIn profile, I'm going to try and get all of this out. It says multidisciplinary multimedia spectacle generator, creative connector, Afro-futurist, Afro-cosmonaut explorer, design educator, mermaid, creating disruptive and discursive work. And in a recent article, they described you by saying her work is rooted in liberation theology, dipped in pop culture references, sprinkled with humor, and packaged in joy.
Awesome. I love hearing those words come out of your mouth.
I love saying them, and you are a true force of nature for sure, but there are no words that can actually describe you for real. So je ne sais quoi, and it's an homage to what we're going to be talking about, your trip to France, which let's talk about your summer travels.
Yes.
It's been amazing.
It's been an excellent summer.
You did some family reunions. You went to see Beyonce. Your outfit was amazing. That you made yourself.
Exactly. So I made this amazing outfit that Karen saw on Instagram, and to not your knowledge is that I bought that at Harbor Freight and Tool. It's a hazmat outfit for $4 that I cut up and I hemmed and I spray painted metallic silver. So Beyonce got on my coin for the concert, but not the outfit.
It was amazing. You also visited Martha's Vineyard, and maybe you could talk a little bit about the African American Heritage Trail, which I just found out about.
Right. So that was excellent. I love going out to Martha's Vineyard, and they have a wonderful history out there, especially back in the day when it was a place where free Black peoples could go rest and relax without humiliation. And when you go, you see these amazing gingerbread houses that are near the Methodist tent and the Methodist gathering spot. But what you don't see is where the Baptist tent was. And even though it was supposed to be a place for free peoples, it's like always people try to find a way to exclude someone or to segregate themselves. So Black folks weren't able to worship with the Methodists under that tent that is very well preserved to this day. But if you go 2 blocks over, you can start to see the remnants of the African American Heritage Trail that's been created by 2 women who are trying to bring this history forward and that legacy. And you can go see the tent poles of the of where that Baptist tent was, and you can see the first hotel that Black folks were able to stay at. And you had just amazing dignitaries, amazing people in politics, Langston Hughes, just all these folks who were coming through to relax. And people don't know about this spot, and it's 2 blocks over from where everyone else goes. So I hope that Martha's Vineyard does its job in helping to support the work of these 2 women and educators there.
Yeah, so let's shine a light on them for sure.
Yes.
Girl Trek Healthy Black Women and Girls.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that's an organization started by Vanessa and Morgan. Please, ladies, forgive me for not remembering your last name. Morgan Dixon and Vanessa Garrison. And these are 2 incredible women who understand that Black women need to be healthier, and we are dying at disproportional rates from our white and Asian counterparts. So we die probably 10 years sooner than our white counterparts. And we know because of stress and environmental factors, food food deserts, the jobs that we have. So their goal is to get us healthy, to get our blood pressure down, to get us to not be having diabetes, to be having better habits. And it just starts with one step at a time, walking outside of your door in your own neighborhood. So it doesn't require any special equipment. It doesn't require a gym membership. And the whole thing is, where 2 and 3 are gathered, there's love. So you can go by yourself or you can bring a sister. And the whole goal is always bring someone else, bring someone else. And we know that change happens when we walk and we talk together. And also it is improving these neighborhoods. People see us in our superhero blue, and it's just been amazing. So for me, it's been a great way to get healthy past COVID and to just start those steps, just a single step at a time.
I love it.
And it's 1 million women, 1 million Black women walking. So a big goal, and they are doing amazing. And I'm excited to represent Rhode Island in that effort.
Very cool. You've been to Hawaii, New Orleans, and France. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So I've been on sabbatical. So it's actually my pre-critical review, if I have to be technical. But I've been at RISD for 5 years, and I just received my promotion for associate professor. Woo woo! So super excited about that. And with that, I've been able to get 6 months off, which I've finessed into 9 months off. So taking our winter session through spring, through the summer. And when I tell you that it is my hope that everyone gets a sabbatical in whatever profession they have, because this honestly did save my life. I taught all through COVID, and just since COVID and past COVID, if you are especially an educator, I know hospital workers especially, but if you're an educator, we have just been holding up these walls of these institutions with hot glue and Scotch tape. And just making sure that the mental health of my students is together. That's been the biggest priority. But through that, I've gained weight, and my blood pressure has gone up, and just my overall health wasn't good at all. And going to my doctors, they were just like, there's no way you should be standing up right now. I went to a cardiologist. She thought that I'd had a mild heart attack, which is not okay when I just turned 40.
No.
So taking this time, and with that, I was gifted a month in Hawaii by a former classmate whose mother lives out there, and I was able to house sit for her in Oahu. And when I tell you, that was life-changing. So to be by myself in Oahu for a month, to just be still and listen. And I went and I had an agenda for myself. I wrote out a few goals that I wanted to have. I had a lot of writing exercises for myself. And there's a lot of things that I just wanted to get rid of that I've been carrying for 39 years. And I was like, what don't we want to carry? What do we not want to carry into our 40s? So to write that out and to sit with it and sit in the muck of it, it's kind of like a little kid who peed on himself and you got to sit in your pee pants. So it was that, and it was uncomfortable and it was hard, but I did that work because I knew what I wanted it to look like on the other side. And at the end of the everyday, my reward was to go down that hill and jump into the ocean and give it to her. So it was really beautiful, and creating ritual while I was there. So doing a lot of breath work, creating an altar for my ancestors, creating rituals that included stretching and just meditation and mindfulness, so that when I do get busy, that I'll be able to be carrying that in there, because it is a practice. So if I could practice it when I had time and being in isolation and being in silence for at least 2 weeks, then I knew I'd be able to do it later on. So Hawaii was wonderful, and being able to meet up with a few activists that were there. And I feel like activists kind of find each other wherever we go. So being able to see people who have been there for multiple generations and just fighting for their land and trying to keep their homes. It's pretty crazy what's happening out there. And we know what's just happened in Maui and Lahaina with the wildfires. So I've got friends who are out there now trying to support that. And it's really hard and egregious, because the news that we are getting is not what's actually happening and being reported. But regardless of that, and I also want to give my thoughts and prayers to those folks. And it was just beautiful to see a beautiful culture of people who they know what it is. They respect the water, they respect the land, they respect the wind, they understand how all these things come together, and they don't take anything for granted, and they don't need all the things that we tend to need,
Mm.
over here on the mainland. So it was really beautiful to see people who were just like, yes, this is our ocean, and I'm going to pray every time before I get into this water, because we know that she can heal us or she can take us out. We're going to do the same thing when we go up this mountain and go for a walk, because like that's where we get our substance from. That's where we get our food from. And we are grateful for that. So being able to just be in that was awesome. That was
That sounds
Hawaii.
amazing. France, can we talk about that? It's on my bucket list. The south of France.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, please go. So another classmate, I gotta say, go to college and get some cool classmates, because this was an invitation from my graduate school classmate. Shout out to Shoham Arad and her girlfriend Sherry, who was a former Obama fellow. They were offered this beautiful chateau in the south of France near Pavie, and she was in a fellowship with this person, and she was like, bring your friends out. So they said, do you want to come out for our birthday? And when someone invites you to France for a birthday, you go. So it was beautiful, just a beautiful chateau spot with several jeets on, I think it's 50 acres, and forgive me, Cher, if I get this wrong, but I just know that it was in the middle of these beautiful rolling fields, and on a clear day you can see the Pyrenees, which everyone was so excited about. But to be in a place that, again, to slow down. We went and it was super hot, so you had to move slow anyway. There was a gorgeous pool, so we got to dip ourselves in a pool every day. We were near a river, so to jump in the river was extra refreshing with a waterfall. And I met a person who's been going to that river, since he was small. I think he'd been going for 73 years. So it was just really cool to see him there, and the way that they talk about where they live, the way they talk about their food. They kept saying, you need to have the best. That cheese is okay, but it is not the milieu. And someone would like instantly go to the store and come back and be like, this is the best. This is the best of what we have to offer. So just being around that, and there was daily farmers markets, we would drive 15 minutes into the village. And Karen, that's why I love travel, is seeing how other people live. When I was in Hawaii, I would stop off on the side of the road and get a cold coconut. I would get a bag of lychee. I would get a bag of mangoes. You could go get fresh, you can get poi, you can get fresh fish. So to eat something so fresh, it felt good to my body. And again, in France, to be like, oh, this is a chicken, and that chicken still had its head on it. It was dead, but they let you know that that was a chicken and it's got the feet on it. Or you see a lamb and it's like, oh, you're going to see all the lamb. And I feel like in the US, we're so disconnected from our food sources and our medicine sources. So it's really great to see that in contrast, and also to see how excited people are, to talk about their food and how it's made. There was a farm next door. There was a sheep farm. We got up at 8:30. You go and they let the dogs out and the sheep run everywhere. And you can go have some sheep milk, sheep cheese, sheep ice cream. And it came from there. Like, where it came from. And they're excited and proud to talk about that. So it was just lovely. It was a wonderful experience, and I look forward to going back.
That
And
sounds amazing. I'm so happy that you had a chance to do all of that.
thank
Really,
you.
truly.
And breaking bread. And they take a break every day from 12 to 2, folks. Every day, everyone, everywhere, because you need to take time to eat or take a break or go pick up your kids or do whatever. So I'm just saying we can learn a few things.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about your role and the story of becoming a designer. I know it's your passion. What are your influences and maybe your medium of choice?
Yes, so I have a ton of influences. So my first influence, I feel like, first of all, I've always been a kid who colored and drew and saw the world in colors. And I appreciate my parents who honed that from an early age. They, instead of telling me, no, I can't draw on things, they covered the bottom of the wall with butcher paper so that I was able to color. So I really appreciate them honing that in me. And there never a year went by that I didn't take an art class. But starting to understand artists and influences, Betty Sayre was one of my favorites. She's an African-American artist. And for me, seeing the liberation of Aunt Jemima, where I was like, oh, that thing looks like me, oh, it's not, it's a picture of Aunt Jemima, but she's not as sweet as we always see her depicted as. So there's some edge to that. So understanding that we can be subversive and multi-layered with these pop culture images. So that one really sticks in my mind from sixth grade. And if you see my work, there's a lot of that Betty Sayer through line from there. And really just questioning the things that we've been fed through pop culture and media, in this country. Another one is Kara Walker. I love Kara Walker's work. I love what she does, especially with 2D images to fill a space and create a narrative around slavery and Jim Crow and also just African storytelling. So
Mm.
I look at the images and they feel really familiar and they're really exciting. Everything's done in silhouette, but it also can be very uncomfortable for folks. So the fact that she's creating these conversations with these flat images. Also, her three-dimensional work is really incredible. She did an amazing, like, Aunt Jemima Sphinx at the Domino Factory in Baltimore that is talking about several different things. So if you're able to experience her work, you should. Also, RISD alumni, shout out. For contemporary artists that I'm looking at right now and really experiencing are Nick Cave, who has a wonderful exhibition at the Guggenheim right now. He's most famous for his sound suits. And it's these amazing suits that he was building for himself that are made of fabric sculpture, metal, lots of different objects, and they all have a different theme. But the fact is, he was creating these suits after experiencing traumatic activities such as Trayvon Martin.
Mm.
And pretty much like after a killing of a Black man, he was making these suits as a way to protect himself from the world, but also the suits respond to your movement and then people see you in a certain way, but you don't have to interact with people in the other way. And I really like that because I'm always constantly in my work trying to create safe spaces for people and especially people in marginalized backgrounds. And so really loving that he has this space that he's created that you can wear. Hank Willis Thomas, he is an amazing artist. He created the Embrace in Boston.
Oh my
So
gosh, yes.
that's something that we have really close here at home. He also created the recent trophy for the NFL. So I love what he does using pop culture images and references that are so familiar to us. He also has a conversation about commodity and capitalism on Black bodies and just looking at the history of us as a people in America. And he has this amazing organization that he runs with Eric Grodesman called Four Freedoms. And it is a way for artists to get involved civically in their community. So that's a lot of the things that you're probably going to mention soon that I've done around town actually plug into that larger group. And it's all of us in 50 states. And for me, when I found them, I was able to find my tribe.
Mm.
And just like lastly is Yael Kasama. If you don't know her, she's an amazing Japanese artist, 94 years old, and she creates these amazing spaces that are super immersive and
The
contemplative.
box? Was it the box?
Yes,
Yes,
the
that was
box
crazy.
with the mirror and the
Yes,
pumpkins or the
but
gourds.
we were only allowed to be in there for like 2 minutes. They timed us.
Oh
I
no, you
know.
needed to be in there for 2 hours.
When it
Oh,
first
see,
opened, I went and they were like, no, 2 minutes. And I'm like, really? That's not enough time. But
right, and
yeah,
that's
she's
the
amazing.
antithesis of her work.
Mm,
Yeah. So her spaces are what I hope to get to. That's what I'm looking down the road at.
very
Thank you
cool.
for
And
asking.
your medium of choice would be,
Oh, the medium of choice is whatever I need to do at that time to get the message across. That's the
okay,
only way I
cool.
can say it.
So your role is teacher. So with age comes wisdom. You've had a milestone birthday recently. I'm a little further down the road than that.
A
But I
lot of
think
wisdom.
what I think for me is when you have the ability to turn around and you have the privilege to turn around and maybe impact the next generation. So maybe you could speak to what that experience has been like for you and what you have learned.
I can tell you it has been amazing to be a teacher. And as my high school art teacher listens to this, she's just going to laugh because I always said, I'm never going to be a teacher. I don't know how you do this. I don't know how you stand us. And so every time I talk about how much I love teaching, she just laughs at me. And I can say it feels like one of my greatest achievements so far, and I love it every day. There's things about the bureaucracy and the institutions that I don't like. Oh, my computer's about to die. That I don't like, but I love being with the students every day. I came from Hasbro before that, as you know, where we worked together there.
Mm-hmm.
Karen and I were on the same floor, and I loved working with Karen. And um, I found it hard to change a 40-year-old marketer's mind, especially a white male marketer, when I was trying to endear him on play patterns and where the hearts and minds of children were. But it feels really easy to change a 20-year-old's mind because their mind is so open and they are not jaded yet, and the world is their oyster, and they're so excited to do anything. And so I feel that I have such an opportunity, and there's a level of optimism with my students, especially since I teach in a global population. And these ideas that we talk about, these ideas that we share, are going to go all over the world.
Love it. So, speaking of optimism, the Optimistic People Project. Can you speak about that a little bit?
Yes, let me tell you about OPP. So this is something that I was able to do as a designer, using my connections with the population of youth that I have and being firmly rooted in the Providence community. So we're a passionate multimedia design build collective of humans who want to create moments of uplift in our community. And we do this through acts of joy and celebration as we continue our path of freedom and liberation. So my focus is to bridge that gap between my RISD students and the Providence community. One of the things that I've noticed on my campus is that our kids don't tend to leave this safe little bubble that we've created, but the fact that they are here enjoying the resources of this beautiful state, it is my want and the need that we get off campus and that we are of service to that community. And then I work and see and am around so many Providence youth who don't have the ability or the resources. And I'm going to say that possibly like the resources, because it's not about skill, who aren't at RISD or don't have the resources of RISD. So being able to bring those two things together has been really amazing and really dynamic. And, they're able to show my students things that we don't have on campus. So giving them different community spaces, different resources, different access, different street smarts. So that's been really beautiful to do. And as I do this, I'm coaching them. So showing them how to work with clients, how to do pricing, what's it look like to create these milestones to finish a project, because I hope to have more work in the future as always, but I can't do all that work. So I want to make sure that this is a springboard for them.
Amazing. And now a shout out to our sponsor, the Good Seed Market, 138 Central Avenue, Seekonk, Massachusetts. Started in 1989 by three friends with a goal of creating a neighborhood market offering simple, natural, organic products for a healthy lifestyle. Now a member of the independent Natural Foods Retailer Association, our friends at the Good Seed are offering our listeners a 10% discount on their first purchase just by mentioning Hush Providence. The Good Seed Market, a place where ideas can grow. And we can't talk about you without talking about you as a musician and a visual performance artist. We shared the experience of going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland a few years back with the Toys to Men Corporate Battle of the Bands. I was a groupie. You were on stage.
Karen was the best groupie.
So maybe you can talk a little bit about that experience.
First of all, I love Toys to Men. The fact that we were working at this company that said, oh, we have these great musicians, we have some space, you all want to have a rock band. And we were like, seriously, we get to take work time to do this thing. And it was awesome. And I think it's about that whole joy and liberation, that sometimes the business of toys isn't awesome. So to be able to be cross-functional with people on different teams and to get on a stage, whether it was our holiday party, it could be something we were doing for charity, for kids, or for our fellow employees, or the fact that like our company believed in us enough to say, hey, let's go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame on this amazing stage that legends stood on as you go battle against Kodak and Sprint. But that was amazing. And for me, being being able to stand, especially next to Emily Bond, come on, with that amazing voice, and just people who were supporting my musicianship and also pushing me to places that I didn't know I could go. It was ecstatic and exhilarating.
Awesome. You guys should have won.
Yes, we should have. It was
Also, the
rigged. It was rigged.
founding member of the Extraordinary Rendition Band.
Can you hear me okay?
Okay.
All right, there we go. Sorry, I was coughing. So Extraordinary Rendition Band is an awesome, amazing brass band. I was there during its first year, so I wasn't one of the original 3 members, but I say I was one of those founding members as we got going up. We were probably one of the first 9. And it was just this band who believed that that our instruments were more powerful than the weapons, and that any note was better than no note. And when you bring your instruments together and you bring sound and have people singing, that you can change the world. And that band, first of all, allowed me to feel like a superhero. So we got to just dress in bras and fishnets and pieces of band costumes. And if I would have known in high school that this is what marching band could be like, we looked at kids and kids were like, wait, that's what marching band is. But it was just awesome. We were, at our max, I believe we were like a 34-piece brass band. And we would do something called a music bomb, and we were very civically minded. So if there was a bill that was being passed or a vote happening in the state house or in city council and we didn't like it, we would go and just show up with this big brass band and just make a noise and start, playing Beyonce, or start playing something and Britney Spears, and you just start dancing. So we were very much based off of New Orleans Second Line, and just thinking about the rich history of that. It was a way to be, it was a democratic experience, right? And so we were a leaderless group. Everyone got the chance to lead or try to compose music. We played parades. We played for governors and mayors. We went to Austin and Seattle, and, it's amazing. It was spawned out of Honk, which started in Somerville and is still going strong. So we are just one of many bands all around the globe, and we're just a part of these activist brass bands. And I have to say, even the music lineage that I have now and the things I do, I give it all to ERB, saying that you let me know what it was like to have an alias and to be a superhero and to use my body, my talents, my art for change, which really got me involved in like local politics.
That's a great segue to the next conversation, which is your role as activist. So literally 3 years ago this week, and we're talking about this today, which is the last day of August, actually.
Yes.
So 3 years ago, there was the unveiling of your work with the Avenue Concept, the Public Arts Partnership in Providence. You did the mural Vote, and you worked on the letter O. You brought it to life with an interactive QR code that linked to voter registration, the use of a lifelike 3D cutout of Representative John Lewis. And it seems kind of timely again as we approach the new campaign, the new election season. So maybe you could share your creative process and what this project meant to you.
Yes, so I was honored to be asked by the Avenue Concept to do this work. This was, we know what that year was like when we were getting ready for this election, and they had asked 4 artists of color to come do this mural, and everyone got a different letter. So we came together, and the fact that we didn't know each other and the image came out as harmonious as it did is just, I think it's a testament to the people they chose, and also our styles and the message we were trying to get across. So I took that O, and me being me, I want to maximize on every part of that. So I was really into the negative space of that O. And in my work, I really do a lot of layers of engagement. So I want to make sure that people have an opportunity to engage in different phases, and maybe sometimes not all at once. So I really like to employ the use of a QR code, as you were mentioning. So when you see the O, first of all, it's really bright and vibrant. And this is at a time where we were still masking, we were still doing social distancing. So where it was placed downtown near the CIC, I knew that people could see it across a field. So the fact that it was ringed in yellow, and I used really great patterning, which actually came from some African patterns. So really connecting that lineage. And then through the O, you've got marchers that were, it was the famous photograph for the March on Jobs that was done, I believe, in 1963. And so again, connecting that past with the future and saying we are back at this very same spot that people have already fought for and have died for. So wanting to educate people that way with just the image, and on one of the signs there was a QR code. And when you took a photo of that QR code, so you could be across the street, you take a photo and your phone actually prompts you to move closer. And so you can come across the street and get closer, and then the QR code would take you to the Secretary of State's website so that you could vote. Because it's not enough to tell someone to vote, but you have to educate folks. And it was excellent because the website was in 7 different languages. Nellie Gorbea started actually using that mural as a backdrop for a lot of work that she was doing. Different people who were running, they started using that spot. So that was amazing. And then having John Lewis in front off the mural, first of all, I do, like we said, multimedia, or I love, messing with spaces, making things 2D and 3D. But I had him about 2 feet off the wall to where you could stand next to him and you look like you were a part of the mural. You look like you were part of the march or the fight. And I felt that if people are going to take photos anyway, how do I invite them in and get them invested? So turn the camera around, and now they're in that photo. They're
So cool.
sharing it, and they help it go viral. So again, layers of engagement. So you can stand across the street and look at it, or you can literally be in the image. And this is what I like to do with a lot of my work.
What a great example. It was truly amazing. Let's talk about your role as a community leader. So I'm
Yes.
going to mention just a few of them because this is a we do have a
This
little
is
bit
a
of time.
short podcast.
Board member of the City of Providence Public Art and City Life, African American Ambassadors Group board member. Under Mayor Alorza, you were a special committee for reparations.
Yes.
Just to mention a few things.
Just to mention a few. So the city life and culture role, that was in the past, but that was for me coming out of the band and getting to work with city life a lot. They hired us a lot for different parades and different activities. So knowing that I wanted to be a change maker in the city, I felt that it was important to get on the board to understand how things work from the inside out. It gave me my first taste of local government, which anyone who serves, thank you. So being able to be on that board was really helpful because it just showed me the processes of how to create work. We were able to be a part of creating the master plan for Providence that, was setting PVD Fest, the big murals that you see, and a lot of the activities. So we were creating that process. So I feel really lucky to be a part of that. And now that I've been off of the committee, to be able to be a recipient of some of the things they do. So really love that role. During COVID, Mayor Lorza called on several people to be a part of a commission, since we knew that folks in marginalized populations or the African American community and Latino community, our COVID numbers were higher than other people. And we knew that there was historical and institutional issues because of that. So he created a coalition to talk about what do we need to do during these times. And it was awesome because it was 125 people who were meeting weekly for over a year via Zoom to talk about what are the issues that are happening in our city and what do we need to do. So whether that was getting vaccines to folks, whether that was food pantries, we created different groups to talk about what do we need to change in policing and in education, healthcare, just everything. I think we had about 8 sectors. So for me, getting to be connected with public leaders, people in nonprofits, educators, healthcare workers, this was awesome. And I love that he connected us all. And out of that, I was able to be on the reparations committee because we were able to get $10 million in ARPA funding. to say, what do we need to do in our community? And for us, we wanted to lay out a plan because, as we know, this country has a reckoning that it's yet to deal with. And Providence as a city is very rich, and we were a part of that slave trade. And so whether it was abolished before a lot of other states, we still had the lingering effects of that. And there's displacement and gentrification. So the question is, how do we start to repair those rights? And while $10 million isn't enough, it was at least a start to do that. Sadly to say, the work that we have done on that, which has been covered by international papers, and I want to say that we were a part of a national reparations network who was helping us to write that. So while we've gotten global reach from it, we now have a mayor who is not upholding the work that we did and is actually redirecting those funds. So that's something that I think that people should talk about and know about.
I
Yeah.
did not know that. I did not know
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
Well, congratulations on the first step.
Well, thank you. First step is the big step in having
First
a
step.
plan laid out, a blueprint.
Switching gears a little bit, your role as a mermaid. So we share Kentucky roots, we share April birthdays, we share a love of the water. So maybe you could describe out how you feel in the ocean. I think you did a little bit already, but let's maybe go back to that because it's so
Yeah.
important. Your connection to the sea.
Right. You know, as you just said, we both were born on the Ohio River, which is no ocean. So coming to Rhode Island was just amazing and a blessing for me. We have 440 miles of coastline here. And what I found is that floating, as I say, saved my life. The fact that we live so close to the ocean, to go to restore my soul and to release is just amazing. We know the healing properties and the meditative properties that the water has. I'm a year-round cold plunger. So I go every week to the ocean without a wetsuit on. We're talking just a swimsuit to go. And for me, what that does is, one, it's the endorphins that you get from doing it, just the practice. Once I dip myself in that water, I feel like I could go run a marathon. So it does make you feel bolder. It is healthier for you. What it does to my parasympathetic nervous system, it just calms me down. And what I'm able to do through that discipline of saying, okay, I know this is cold. I know this is 48 degrees right now. Like, this is freezing. But if I can get my body to do it, and especially if I can move in that water for a certain amount of time, I'm able to then take those practices out of the water and into the classroom or the boardroom or into a meeting. So it's like when things get hard and I need to transcend, I literally just put myself back in that water. And, you know, when I'm at the ocean, I dip myself and I let someone else hold it. I don't need to carry all the burdens. I don't need to carry all the weight, and to be in a place where I am held and I'm loved. And then I just watch it go away. And I'm literally weightless and I get to unlock every joint in my body. It feels amazing. So whether it's winter or summer, I'm there for it.
Beautifully said. So well-being elements include living your passion, which you clearly are doing, being in community, creative expression, philanthropy, self-care. You talked a little bit about your sabbatical. Actually, let's talk a little bit more about the sabbatical and what came out of that for you. There's the Green Book project.
Yes.
There's Float.
Yes. So two big projects, which what I love about at least RISD or art and design schools in general is that we don't have to do anything on our sabbatical. So we don't have to write a book. We don't have to publish articles. We can actually just rest. But as you've shown my resume before, I don't just rest easy. So during this time, I did a project called the Green Book, which is a reintroduction of Victor Green's 1936 Green Book that he created for Negro motorists, as we were called back then. Because as we know, after segregation, you still had Jim Crow and there were still issues up north. So he wanted to make sure that we had a guide, knowing that like where we could travel, what streets were safe, what hotels we could stay at, what swimming pools we could stay at. And this was crowdsourced by the community and by everyone called agents. And so I have found that as we continue to bring in transplants from out of town, whether it is at different jobs or with me at RISD, when we get new faculty and staff, people are always asking, Jess, where do I ... where do I go? What's the best barber? Where do I go get my hair done? Where can I get my hair braided, locked? What do I do with curly hair? Where do I go for religious practices? So I reinstituted the Rhode Island Green Book, which I had done a version right after graduate school. This was actually redone at Hasbro for when we were bringing in new employees. So there was a Hasbro book, and now I've reintroduced the third edition of the Green Book. So that's been really exciting, and we are actually printing this week. And I will tell folks at the end of this where they can purchase that. And then the other project is Float. And that is my program and initiative to return Black women back to the water, on the water, and into themselves by providing access to bodies of water, hosting workshops, rituals, interventions, retreats, and galleries. As you said, you're a mermaid, I'm a mermaid. I was like, we are the original mermaids from the west coast of Africa. We are descendants of powerful water deities and healers. We are survivors of trauma and terror from the Middle Passage. We are represented as Disney characters. We're splashed on the fronts of Starbucks cups. We are here. So Float creates safe and healing spaces for Black women to safely return to the water. It is our reclamation, our release, our resilience, our recovery, and our rejoicing. And I'm very excited to be doing programming with that.
I am very excited that you are doing program with that. So congratulations. And maybe we could talk about the question that I had posed for you, which is, if you were writing your autobiography right now, what would this chapter be called?
Be still.
Oof.
Yeah.
Nice.
That felt appropriate. Thinking about just what my last 9 months have been, the fact that my whole life I've been running. I've been chasing something, whether that was trying to chase to get to Rhode Island, wherever that was, and, chasing to get myself out of Kentucky, chasing to get my master's degree, chasing to get the corporate career, chasing to get the teaching job, trying to do this project, get the studio off the ground, be of public service, do all the artwork. To be still feels really nice, and to pat myself on the back to say, we did it. There's still a lot to do, but we can actually enjoy this moment that we're in, and we don't have to run on the hamster wheel anymore. So it feels really good to rest and relax without feeling guilty, and a lot of that is the capitalist mindset that we must be producing. So to say that I can rest and it's okay, and to be still and listen and to see what comes to me. That's what we're going to call the book, Karen.
I can't wait to read it. Thank you so much for being part of this podcast. I really, really appreciate it. I appreciate you always. And is there anything else? Oh, how about to reach out to you, to contact you? Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, please. First of all, I want to say thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening to Hush with Karen. Karen is my girl. And I've just always loved, working down the hallway from you and seeing what you do for engagement, which was inspiring to see what I could do with engagement. And, whether it was like having a small budget, no budget, but you just wanted to get people together and get morale. You've always been my cheerleader in and out of work. And I just really appreciate that in you, and appreciate you for what you do. So thank you so much. You can find or follow me at theladyjbrown.com or the Lady J Brown on Instagram. And on my LinkedIn, I am Jessica Brown - the Lady J. So please connect with me. Let's talk about a project. Let's talk about anything interesting. Let me know if you all need some work done, murals, whatever. I'll bring some students and we'll get that done. And if you or someone you likes the programs that I've been talking about, such as Float or Green Book, please feel free to donate to those things. Again, you can just go to the website. I've got a Venmo, which is Jessica-Brown 205. But check me out. And there's other ways that you can do that. But thank you so much. Thank you for creating a wellness podcast that we can listen to in the car, in our earbuds, on the go. But just hearing amazing folks come on, thank you for doing this
Thank
when
you
you
for
didn't have to
joining
do
us.
anything.
I'm retired, right?
I know you're retired, but here you go, launching this amazing podcast.
Thank you so much. I hope to see you soon, maybe at the beach. Who knows?
Yes,
Good luck
sounds
with this,
good.
the new school season. It starts, I think, soon, next week, maybe.
I got 1 week left. Here we go.
All right, here we
Thank you,
go.
folks.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
To all the listeners, thank you. Be well. Thank you so much for listening to Hush Providence, a well-being podcast. This would not be possible without the incredible help from Jamie Farinella and Stephanie Whitehead on branding and logo concept, John Papa's endless generosity, David Davignon and Austin Lynch for their skilled technical expertise, and of course, our amazing guests and all of you, our listeners. Until next time, be well.